Good evening, friends. Today we'll start with our psychology lecture number 24. So, what all we are going to do here is we'll finish the chapter of paper 2, which is measurement of individual differences. In that, what we are focusing upon is your psychological tests. So we had done the steps when we are supposed to design a standardized test. And what all the steps are here? Which all steps are here? The first step is your planning. You will plan that firstly, what construct is at check, what are we going to check? Secondly, who will be administer the test, what is our population, then what items will be there, what type of test will be there, how it will be administered, all will be defined under planning. Then we'll do the item writing. The experts will write the items. What is the item? Item is the question. Experts will write the questions. Experts will remove the ambiguous questions. Experts will see the questions are not too easy or too tough. Experts will also see that the questions which don't have optimum difficulty level efficient discriminatory power and also the item does not have the ability to remove this. What is that? Pseudo guessing. Pseudo guessing is a phenomenon where a person, a subject who does not have the ability to answer the test ends up answering the test in a correct manner. Correct answer without having any ability. So that is to be eliminated. For all these things, a step is taken which is called item analysis. The three terms which are at check, the three things which are evaluated here is item difficulty, item discrimination and your pseudo guessing ability. And guessing or pseudo guessing, any of them you can say. These three should be at difficulty of items should be at optimum level. First, items, each and every one should have the ability to discriminate between an able candidate or an unable candidate, and candidate who does not have the ability. Then guessing should be removed as far as it can be. We cannot eliminate the guessing ability, the guessing probability completely. So these three things are eliminated through this. There came a theory which said that rather than going by this analysis, classical test theory, CTT, where the overall observed score of the complete test, which is a sum of true score and the error score, was analyzed. The analysis was of the complete test. The analysis was not of each and every item. So this item response theory, IRT, which is an improvement over CTT, classical test theory, what did it do? Item response theory said that the analysis will be of each and every item. We will discuss the differences between IRT and CTT after a few minutes. Before that, let's cover other steps. What are other steps? First, we have seen planning. Then we have seen item writing. Then what is done? Pre-tryout. The test is administered, given to a sample of population. As we have seen earlier, this is your whole population. But we cannot go and ask each and every subject, which is the part of the population, what is their viewpoint, what is their score. So we choose a sample, a part of it. A sample is a representative part of the whole population, which is easier to access, accessibility, affordable to judge, affordability, and available accessibility, affordability, availability of the sample. This is the part of the population. In order to do any kind of survey, the accessibility of the sample is there. The sample is easily accessible, affordable, not much of resources will be used if we access them, then they are readily available to us. These are the primary criteria for choosing a sample, and this sample is a representative part of the population. So we have given this test or administered this test to the sample. Then we have seen the items which are ambiguous, will be removed. Items which are very easy. You know what is the item? Item is nothing. Question. Now you can define it, the indestructible unit of the test, the most primary unit of the test, but essentially an item is nothing but the question. And you should simplify this process. Rather than memorizing your complex definitions, you should have the example, because if you see the 2023 paper and the paper since 2013, the inclination of the examiner as far as the psychology optional is concerned is to ask applied questions. And mind it that most of the aspirants, even if those who score well, 250, 60 is a good score, after some coaching, reading a particular notes which are there in the market, they are using the same definition. Everyone using the same definition, everyone giving the same example. The problem lies in creativity. Unfortunately, the material which is different from what is existing in the market is very less visible. Unfortunate for the people who are having the access to these kind of lectures which we are conducting. So the very easy ones are removed, very tough ones are also removed. Okay, and in this the analysis, the item analysis helps a lot. Item analysis is a statistical step. Mind it, statistical step. And when somebody asks you why psychology is a science, you see, at one step or the other, we are bringing stats. We are conducting our experiments in a scientific manner, and that is why we call it scientific. So you need 3-4 points. Many of the points are available. for 10 mark or 15 mark or 20 mark. Okay, statistical analysis. Primarily we use IRT, item response theory. Okay, so after these steps, your planning, item writing, pre-tryout, we establish the reliability of the test. Then we establish the validity of the test. After that, we establish clear norms, clear benchmark, according to which the score of the test will be compared to the normal scores or benchmark score or average score or mean score. You can use any of the words. Then we'll finalize that where does the person lie. Yesterday I asked a question to one of the aspirants who are trying to get some assessment of the paper 2 of psychology. What is deviation IQ? Deviation IQ. I'm not very sure whether she belonged to core group of psychology or having psychology optional or not. She said that numerical value of IQ is deviation IQ. You see how pathetic, how raw, how rustic this definition is. Deviation IQ gives you a value how much your IQ score deviates from the norm. As simple as that. How many standard deviation away you are from the common norm of 100 IQ. Simple, that is 15. One standard deviation here is 15. I have repeated it n number of times. Now, this is what I say. The problem is that the common terms which are supposed to be used in the examination that are not known to you, but you do the complete rectification of the notes which are existing of a particular teacher, of a particular institute. How do you expect to score well? To score well, now what is needed to be done is lots of hard work. And if it were some other optional like PSIR or sociology, people would have scored without doing lots of hard work. Why it is happening? Because only one source, one particular way of teaching, one particular example. How the examiner will differentiate between your ability and others' ability? That's why bring that differentiation by simplifying the process, which is our approach. Simplify. Strategize and succeed. That is our approach. Okay, so here we have established the norms, everything has been done. After that, what? Final administration is done. Final tryout or final administration is done. That's it. All the steps done. If they ask you to construct any standardized test, these are the steps. Fine. So now we'll move to our particular topic of item analysis, because that is mentioned in your syllabus specifically with the name of what? This IRT, item response theory. To understand item response theory, we must be able to understand what is item analysis. Or what is the statistical basis of item analysis. See, as I told you, in the item analysis, what is done? This is item analysis. What all are these? This D is for difficulty. Difficulty. What should be the difficulty of the items? The overall difficulty of the items should be such that it is moderately difficult for the group of subjects who are taking the test. The ability of the group of the subjects must match the difficulty level, and the difficulty for that particular group of the subjects should be moderate. Moderate. What was another D? This D is about the discrimination. Difficulty should be what? Moderate. Another D, discrimination. What is the meaning of discrimination here? The discriminatory power of each and every item, mind it, each and every item should be such that it should be able to discriminate between a person who is able and a person who is not so able. What does it mean? It means that if there is a question in your test which can be answered without having proper knowledge of the subject, just by the technique of what? Elimination. I'm just giving you an example from your own prelims. In the prelims, some of the people were using some so-called techniques, 25 techniques taught by some institute, 30 techniques, 50 techniques. By using these techniques, they were able to eliminate the wrong answers invariably. And using this technique, they were able to get an upper hand over some other candidates who were more able but did not know this technique properly. So what did UPSC introduce? Pair-based questions. Now the people who know it clearly, knowledge. As I was watching one of the videos made by some pre-guru, prelims pass guru who helps you to pass prelims, was saying that it's not about knowledge, it's about some other things more than this knowledge. Actually, it's nothing more than knowledge. If you have the right knowledge, if you know things precisely, you will be able to ace prelims easily. Cakewalk hai. It is a cakewalk. Because as I keep on telling you, there are hardly 25k to 30k aspirants who are sincere in a year. You count all the years prelims, people who have not been able to clear prelim, people who give interview, people who give mains and all. Combinedly 25-30k. Out of that, almost 14,200 people are 14,200 are selected. So 1 out of 2 sincere aspirant is selected. Why some of the sincere aspirants are lying out? They are not able to clear prelims because of their own mistakes in the examination. Because they have not done certain analysis, SWOT analysis, strength weakness analysis. In the examination, they are overstressed. There is over analysis. Then some of the people are afraid of CSAT, the monster of CSAT so called. Because of these factors, they are staying out. Otherwise, it's easy. It's all about knowledge, buddy. Knowledge. Knowledge is power. For prelims, knowledge is power. There's no doubt about that. So, you see, because using elimination techniques was ensuring some insincere, not so knowledgeable candidate getting entry into the mains. Now, UPSC used your pair-based questions. Okay. So, discrimination or discriminatory power of item should be such that it should be able to differentiate between somebody who knows it and somebody who does not know it clearly with an exact focus. So, how to increase that focus is your primary concern. How to increase the focus? Whenever you read something, read it with a certain technique which we'll discuss in our prelims camp. For the time being, we'll focus upon this difficulty discrimination. So this discrimination, the discriminatory power of each and every item should be such that it should be able to differentiate between an able candidate and not so able candidate. Done. After that, what? The third factor, G. What is G? G is your guessing ability, or commonly known as pseudo guessing. What is pseudo guessing? As I have defined, pseudo guessing is a factor in which a candidate who is not so able is a candidate with zero ability. Mind it, zero ability, but giving the correct answer. And how does it happen? Because of the fault of the test. So to remove this fault of the test, item analysis is done. And to do this item analysis in a more modern, statistical, computerized, adaptive way, CAT way. What is used? IRT, item response theory. Firstly, we'll see how item response theory is different from your CTT. And what is CTT? Classical test theory. As I told you, a classical test theory focuses on overall score. IRT focuses on every item, each and every item. So what is the difference between overall score and each item being analyzed statistically? When you focus on overall score, you are not aware about the particular items, particular questions. What is the item? It's a question. Particular questions being too tough or too easy. And what we have discovered, if the items are too easy, then what will happen? The real ability of the candidates will not be checked, as far as a person who is too expert, who is an expert in a field, will end up scoring the question in the same ease as a person who is a novice. So differentiation between a novice and expert will not be there. Right? Then if we have the questions which are too tough, then what will happen about those aspirants who are above the floor? This is the floor level, this is the benchmark. The candidates who are above the floor level, who have the ability to breach this benchmark, but they are not in this level of expertise, which actually is not required. But an expertise above the benchmark suffices our concern. Now these people who are not genius will not be able to answer the test, answer that particular item. So the overall judgment of the test suffers. If the items are too easy, then also the problem is there. If the items are too tough, then also the test quality suffers. As far as gauging the, evaluating the capability is concerned. That is why it is wise to analyze each and every item through IRT. Fine. Let's move to another difference. What is that check here? They are bothered about true score and the error score. Overall true score, overall error score. By combining these two, what do we achieve? Observed score. Again for the whole test. But what is the approach here in IRT? We are not bothered about the complete score, the observed score of the whole test, but we are bothered about the ability of the test taker. Fine. I am keeping it under point number 1 only because it is an extension of the previous point which we have discussed. Unnecessarily creating another point will not fetch you any marks, which is done by many of the teachers, and many of the aspirants also learned it. They are writing point after point, which does not make any sense. They are repeating the points. Just repeating your points will not fetch any marks. UPSC examiner is an expert. He knows that what are the dimensions of the questions. They are also provided with a model answer. So there are certain points, they see it, they don't do a mirror imaging of the model answer provided to them, but still they have an idea, a very good idea about the points concerned. So this is the point number 1 only. Now we'll move to another point. Your CTT and IRT difference. First thing is that, second point rather, the classical test theory is your dependent upon the sample or the group of subjects who have taken the test. Sample dependent. IRT is not sample dependent. Who is taking the test doesn't matter. This is sample independent. Fine. This is one of the greatest virtues why we choose IRT. IRT does not depend upon who is taking the test, because IRT takes into account, as we will see the mathematical formula after a few minutes, takes into account the matching of ability with the questions. Okay. Whereas CTT, classical test theory, works on the length of the test. Length dependent. Classical test theory works upon the premises of how lengthy is the test. So to construct a lengthy test, there is investment of money, energy and time. But IRT is not dependent upon length of the test. An optimal length of the test suffices to give us an idea whether the matching of ability and the test difficulty, discrimination, pseudo guessing capability is there or not. This is length independent. Okay. Now, the biggest factor why we are choosing IRT over CTT is that whereas CTT uses your simple analysis, or rather we say simplistic analysis. IRT uses your complex mathematical analysis. This may be one of the demerits also. When we are talking about the demerits, we can enumerate this point as a demerit as well. But largely speaking, if we have to see the complexity of the test of the computerized, adaptive and tailored, C for computerized, and T for tailored. The modern educational tests owe a lot to IRT, because most of the tests which are created for the modern arena are this CAT test, computerized, adaptive and tailor-made, like the test of GRE, GMAT, even CAT, not CSAT. It's quite static. So IRT uses your complex mathematical analysis. That is its virtue. Now moving forward, if we compare CTT with IRT, CTT does not take into account your difficulty of the item, discrimination, and guessing parameter. Whereas if we look at IRT, all these three parameters are utilized in IRT: difficulty, discrimination and guessing parameter. That is why there is supremacy of IRT as compared to CTT, classical test theory. What is CTT? Now there has been one or two questions based on the comparison of CTT and IRT earlier asked by UPSC. Can they repeat it? They may, but you have enough fodder to answer it. If they don't repeat it, still you should do the comparison with the earlier test, because that gives you an analysis that forces you to think why IRT is an improvement. What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? If you are lacking in points, suppose regarding IRT also, critically examine IRT. This is the question. In that you can definitely say it's better than CTT in many of the aspects, but you can also say that because of the complexity of the mathematical formula involved, which we'll see right now, the utility of IRT sometimes becomes futility. That also you can say. So that we'll see. Now we have largely done the application or uses of IRT. What are the uses? As I told you, that modern uses of IRT. Most of the modern educational tests and which are these tests? You can summarize these tests under these three terms: CAT, computerized, adaptive, tailored. These are your modern tests. Examples: GRE, Graduate Record Examination; SAT, GMAT, management aptitude test. Any of the tests which are using aptitude are largely based on this formula of IRT, item response theory. So one is your in the design of these modern educational tests. What others? Second is to create a pool of items. What is the meaning of pool of items? You have a common group of subjects, common group of items. So pool of items. What is this pool of items? Pool of items are nothing but the pool of questions. You have created a pool of questions to check a particular ability, particular specific ability. Now, ability to focus. How will you evaluate the ability to focus? The ability to focus will be defined by certain characteristics. Those characteristics are known to us. These are the characteristics. According to these characteristics, we'll devise a number of items. This pool of items will always be available, universally applicable. To define whether or not we are getting our right person, because we will be able to check the ability. So pool of items can be created, a universal pool of items can be created, pool of questions can be created to check a particular, a specific ability. Second application. Third application. We can compare a particular test. Suppose there is a test known as GMAT for admission into your foreign universities in their MBA programs, largely, especially. If we have to compare this program, this test, with another test, suppose we are comparing it with our CSAT only. So in this comparison, which one is specifically checking, specifically looking at the ability concerned as far as management is concerned? How specific, efficient and effective is this test as compared to CSAT? This comparison is done by IRT. Comparing the efficiency of two tests, two or more than two tests. That can be done by using the IRT, item response theory. Now we'll go to another application. The most important application is that there are various ways, variations of because largely if you look at IRT, item response theory, about which we are studying, is not polytomous. That is, we are looking at unitary answers, either it is yes or no. We are not checking the so many aspects of the ability. We are not checking it where the answer will be multidimensional. So the multidimensional model models of IRT are available. The most specific of all the utilities. And what do these multidimensional model of IRT do? They let you evaluate the polytomous group of abilities. Thereby actually making it a much more advanced and further complex, universally applicable panacea. A single test checking all the abilities required in a particular field, or in fact transcending to so many other fields as well, to science, engineering, environment, sustainable development. For all that, a single test panacea can be developed by utilizing the mathematical models of IRT, item response theory. These are the utilities of item response theory. We have compared CTT and IRT. We have understood the utilities of IRT. Now we'll go to the mathematical aspects of IRT. Because many times they ask you the formula, item response theory. The general formula is your P, theta. What is theta? Ability. And what is P theta? P theta is the probability, is the chance of a person of a particular ability giving the right answer. Because you see, the IRT, item response theory, or latent trait theory, or item characteristic curve theory, is a theory which gives us the probability of correct answer for a particular ability of a test taker. So what is the formula here, and which kind of formulas are asked? You are generally asked only the 1PL model, that is your RAS model. This is your RASCH, RAS model. What is this? We'll understand now. Firstly, let's see the graph or curve. This is your P, the probability of right answer. This is your theta. Theta is your ability. If we just plot the graph, how does it come out in your item response theory? So this is like a inverted S. Ability and your probability of giving the right answer. This is one item, this is for a particular item. There can be more than one item. You don't need to worry about plotting so many curves, just one curve is enough. This is item number 1, this is 2 and 3. For so many items, this is the graph. Generally, it remains the same. Now, what is the formula for such a graph? The general formula see here again, you need not worry about the complexity of the formula. No need to rectify this at all, because you know what you will be asked and what all the terms are there. This AI, BI and CI I will define now. AI, discriminatory power. CI, difficulty of the item. CI is the guessing, pseudo guessing. As I told you that, see, look at this graph. Can you see this probability not being 0? Here it is 0. There are, for this, what is the ability? Theta is 0 here. For this particular point, theta is 0, but still probability is more than 0. How? Without ability, the person is able to give a correct answer. How? Pseudo guessing. This is CI. This one is your CI. Okay. What you are asked is 1PL model. So AI is your BI is difficulty. CI is guessing. When the model is not concerned about two terms CI and AI, when these two terms are not given any value, these are found to be either of no use or constant, only focusing on BI, that is difficulty of the item. When the theory, item response theory, focuses upon the difficulty of the item, it is called 1PL model. 1PL is one parametric load. And this model is called your RASH model, RASCH. This is asked in your examination. So if we don't consider all these things in our formula, the CI becomes irrelevant, 0. Then your AI is also not used, CI is 0, AI not used. So what will be the formula? The formula then comes out to be P e raised to the power theta minus BI upon 1 plus e raised to the power theta minus BI. So simple. Simplest of all formula. This is 1PL or RASH model. This has been asked. UPSC generally won't go beyond this, because that was an era earlier in 2012. They asked a really tough paper of statistics, and as you know that statistics itself is thought to be a replica of mathematics, and that's why many people don't like it. Psychology is easy, but if it is made complex deliberately by some people, then definitely the students will not join it. It is easy. It has to be made simple. Today also in the dealing of the IRT, item response theory, I have made things very simple. You just go through the formula, remember 1PL model, remember the essence of item analysis, and it will be solved. There is no need to worry about it. Okay, so largely we have covered our syllabus of chapter 1, paper 2. Few things are remaining, that also we'll cover today itself, because then we have to move to other dimensions of psychology. As it is mentioned in your syllabus, you have understood the psychological test, the dimensions of it, characteristics of it, the construction part, the steps involved, the item analysis, the theory of IRT, the mathematical formula concerned, and there is a very good write-up given to you, most of you. Just go through that, highlight the important aspects there. Then we come to one of the important aspects as far as psychological tests are concerned, uses of psychological tests. What are the uses of psychological tests? Now, first of all, you must know The examples of psychological tests as far as standardized psychological tests are concerned. Few of them you must remember. I'll give you short write-ups, or I will explain in any of the short class as well. Two common examples of your standardized psychological tests are SPIT 5, Simon Binet or Stanford Binet or Binet Simon intelligence test. Then there is WAIS, Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale. WIS. There is another format of it, which is WISC, Wechsler Intelligence Scale for children. Now, there must be curiosity in your mind that why there are two different tests for children and adult. Because we have gone through a concept which is called IQ constancy. The theory of IQ constancy says that the intelligence quotient or fluid intelligence of a child starts growing after a level. It tapers off. It does not grow incessantly. There is constancy of IQ after achieving a level of age. Generally, this age is 14 to 18 group. For some individuals, it may be 14. For others, it may be 15. For some of the people, you may say, you may think, or you may realize and observe that they have grown very old, but still their intelligence is growing because of the experiential knowledge which they are gathering. There are people who are quite grown up, but their intelligence is abysmally low because their genetic makeup, because of their social experience, and because of their rigidity, because of their inability to learn things. Okay, so because of this IQ constancy concept, we have different scales. Now, what are the uses of such kind of scale? How do we use it? First is your uses. One is your assessment. Assessment of what? Suppose you want to get your IQ assessed. Many people want their IQ to be assessed. What is my IQ? Tell me. What is my personality? Tell me. As you must have seen on my YouTube channel, there is a case study going on about a particular subject. My interaction with the subject revealed certain ideas about her personality, her intelligence, her socio-economic status, her aspirations, that I am giving insight about in various videos. You can learn from these case studies and understand the aspects of psychology and understand the psychological nuances as far as practical applied psychology is concerned. So assessment, assess me. People come to me and say, assess me. I don't give them the answer in front of their eyes. But then there has been a particular case who volunteered to be studied. Her case study is being given. So assessment. Assessment of what? IQ. Or any construct. Assessment is going on. Secondly, these tests are used for diagnosis. How diagnosis? Suppose there is a particular questionnaire, EPQ, Eysenck personality questionnaire, through which we are diagnosing a person's personality. Not only personality diagnosis is taking place, we are also diagnosing the mental disorders, as in the case of the AM, the subject who is being studied, her disorders are being studied. So diagnosis of her pathological conditions, pathological lying, narcissism, may lead to psychopathic situations, schizophrenia also, that is being done. So these tests are used for diagnosis. Then comes your another point. It is research. These tests help us do our research. How? Firstly is your pure research. Just for the sake of the improvement of your psychological knowledge, just for the sake of improvement of your theories, just for the sake of the application part of psychology, also the applied psychology, applied research for a particular case. As I suggested for the case study of AM, the cognitive behavior therapy should be used to treat her. Treat her. Otherwise, what will happen? She may become a ticking time bomb, destroying the threads of the society, bringing disturbance into the social norms because of the deviant pursuance of the deviant norms, deviant habits, lying, cheating, fraudulent activities, stealing, resulting into juvenile delinquency and later on the crime committed in the adulthood. Possible? Yes, it is. So research, both pure and applied, are getting helped by these tests. Then moving forward, these tests help us in employment. What happens before employing anybody? Do you conduct a test or not? Yes, you must. And I'll tell you, with the Indian organization, apart from the mandatory test, it is very important to do a background assessment. From where the person is coming, who are the parents, who are the peer group, which colleges they study, what are the notings done by the colleges and schools. And you see in USA what happens, they have a diary, school diary, college diary, in which they note down everything. So they understand their deviant behavior since their childhood. The parents are also told. But in India, what happened? You see the case of AM. So much of psychopathic delinquent activities shown since childhood, but nobody took care of it, becoming a problem for the society. So for the employment purpose also, you must use this test along with the background search. I'm just suggesting from my own experience. Then comes your another point, uses of psychological test. The basic endeavor of psychology is to ensure psychological well-being. Psychological well-being of humanity. As you have seen this under the influence of positive psychology. What is positive psychology movement? From the time when we are looking at treating the disorders or keeping a person free from diseases, now we are focusing on positive emotions, whether a person is happy or not. Positive emotion, happy, healthy, raring to go. rather than being narcissist, rather than being cyber criminal. Focus on positive emotions. A happy, healthy human being can make the society also happy. So these are the uses. Let's now look at the misuses. What can be the misuses, body, of these tests? One thing is that over interpretation. What is the meaning of over interpretation? Suppose your IQ is 80. Now you are having an IQ which is below the average of 100. Now it does not suggest anything, but the interpreter of the test will say you are a below IQ person, you don't belong here. You don't study in a normal school. You should be studying at a other place. You should be studying at a school for deviants. This is over interpretation because they are pigeonholing the person. You have heard this word, pigeonholing? They are putting the person in a particular hole, a particular straitjacket approach. And you have heard this multiple intelligence. Everybody is intelligent. Even a deviant AM is also intelligent. In doing what? With doing the cyber stalking. Should probably work for the underground gangs. That's a quality. So, over interpretation should not be done. Secondly, the second misuse which could be there is the misapplication. You apply to a college of creative writing. You applied for the course of creative writing. The college was not aware what kind of tests should be done. They gave you an IQ test on which you did not fare well. You came up with an average or just above average IQ. This is that you are not a creative person, you should join some other college. But actually, what you should have been given? RAT. What is that? Remote association test. Creativity test. So what happened here? Misapplication, body. Misapplication. The same test which could have given you the creative persons, you utilize this intelligence test for choosing a creative person. That will never happen. A fish cannot fly. A person who has got the leadership ability to rule the country, or rather to be in a political setup, cannot pass the IAS examination. Or a person who is a scientific genius, a scientist, will not pass your IAS examination. But it does not mean that the person is not intelligent, not creative. The person is an asset for the country, a resource for the country. Misapplication. What else can be there? Deception. By using your test analysis, can you be deceived or not? Suppose you wrote your prelims examination. God forbid you did not clear, and you have not told your parents or many of the friends, your peer group. Somebody closer to you knows this and reveals this information to the peer group or the parents. They are deceiving you or not? Yes. Or suppose without you knowing it, somebody called you for an informal gathering. At her place, she being your friend, you went there. She told you that please complete this survey. In this survey, there were questions which were revealing your unconscious. That was actually a Raven's progressive matrix, actually revealing your intelligence, numerical and verbal ability. You did not know, you just filled the survey and then you enjoyed the party. But later on, this was interpreted, and your score on IQ and your score on your unconscious motives all were revealed. Deception was done, misuse, abuse. Then, once your results are out, they may tell you that I know a lot about your personality. You are a deviant. You have been involved in juvenile delinquency. You are a habitual pathological liar. I will release all this data to the police, to the society at large, and they force you to pay, or they force you to do something which you don't want to. They force you to submit to their will. Possible? Yes, it is possible. This is called coercion, coercing you. You have been coerced. This is misuse. These are your misuses of the test. Then, what are the limitations of the psychological test? What are the limitations? The first limitation is that one single test cannot give a complete 360-degree analysis of any construct. The test is found to be partial in its approach. It cannot be a complete test, because as you know, the human behavior itself is complex and dynamic. And what you should be? Young, energetic, dynamic, humorous, happy. Civil servants whom India need should be young, energetic, dynamic, happy, happening. Okay, so test is found to be partial. These are the limitation of any of the tests. As you see, we'll do it in the therapy also. Not a single therapy is complete. So what we use? Eclectic approach. Eclectic. Even for the analysis of a personality, there can be a scenario where you use 10 tests to evaluate a person's personality. Possible? Yes, it is possible. So the test is found to be lacking in its ambit, in its horizon, in its gazing capacity. Okay. While you were taking the test, what was your motivation? Motivation. Motivation, your emotion, your momentary fluctuation, etc., are not taken into account. They are not taken into account. Okay. One big problem with most of the tests is that they are not language neutral. So what they show is cultural bias, and they are insensitive. They are culturally biased. What does it mean? In a particular culture, there may be a facial gesture and non-verbal communication which may be having a particular meaning. If you use that particular word or a non-verbal communication in another culture, there may be complete maramari. You might have encountered this particular word in North India as an altogether different meaning in South. Cultural bias is shown by many of the tests because, as you see, most of these tests germinated were born in Western societies. So they are taking the cultural aspects of the Western society, not the Orthodox Indian or Eastern societies. So they are biased or not? Yes, they are. Most of them are biased. And that is why they are insensitive to the needs, cultural aspirations of the societies which are in the Eastern arena. Like India, as you see, I'll just give you an example. Just an example. You see this. In your notes, you must have realized that there is something called Sita as ego ideal approach. The psychodynamic theorists like Sudhir Kakar say that Sita is the ego ideal. Sita is the person Indian women want to become. Do you really think it is true for modern Indian women? Are they really that coy, humble yet powerful? Don't you think the aspirations and the achievements of Indian women have changed a lot? The answer is yes. But these case studies, which were done aeons, ages ago, are being taught in the institutes. Who is at fault? The people who are not updating it. There may be some problem with them. I have huge sympathy towards them. But the students need updated notes. These notes are showing bias. They are seeing Indian mentalities of fatalism. Do you really think so? Are we all of fatalistic attitude? Religion is the opium of the masses. Is it true? Karl Marx said so. Is it true? The answer is no. So the test must evolve. Test must show either language neutral approach or the test must show the ethnocentric approach. Ethnocentricity and language neutrality, both should be there. It should be based into the idiosyncrasies of the ethnic concerns where we are dealing with it. Idiosyncrasies. You know what is idiosyncrasies? Individual cultural affiliations, individual cultural practices. And that is why I tell you that the course of psychology should also be tailor-made as per your needs. Now we'll come to our last topic of today, the ethical issues as far as psychological tests are concerned. See, the psychological test must go through these criteria. One is your informed consent. When you are using a psychological test upon somebody, or a psychological process or a psychological research upon somebody, you can use deception, but later on you have to release that deception. You have to take informed consent. See, consent is very important in most of your aspects of life. Howsoever powerful, authoritarian, legally supreme you may be, but your authority, power, all should be used in a judicious manner. Howsoever less powerful the person may be, you have to inform the person. You have to take the consent of the person, then proceed. So, before subjecting anybody to a psychological test, you must take the informed consent. If it is not used, it's the violation of the ethics. Second is, you must ensure that the results are confidential. Whatever are the results of the psychological test, they must be confidential. They must not be released to the public without taking consent of the person. Third thing, as I told you, the test must be fair and culturally sensitive. What is the meaning of fair? Language neutral, like RPM is there, Raven's progressive matrices, which is largely language neutral. And it should be based on the idiosyncrasies and ethnocentricity of a particular culture. Fourth, last but not the least, the test taker should be competent. Test taker and test evaluator, both of them should be highly competent, experienced as far as creating and evaluating these tests are concerned. So that finishes our chapter 1 of the paper 2. Now we'll move forward. I'll give you some insights about the cognitive psychology, then the social psychology. Cutting across these two will be the applied psychology topics coming from your syllabus only, not digressing much, giving you the points which are relevant to score 300 plus as I have promised. Not only this, I will also be covering the previous year question papers of psychology. They will be available for free on my YouTube channel. Ethics and essay previous year analysis and solution will also be available to you. Keep studying well. We'll meet again. Thank you very much for joining. Have a great day.